Point is, look, you're still building your politics around slicing and dicing people into these fixed categories. Democrats need to get the memo that you can't win elections anymore by automatically assuming you're going to get every voter who's not these guys. The more you obsess over identity, the more you ignore the bread and butter issues that win and lose elections. Caitlyn Jenner is a pro-Trump trans woman who supports a ban on trans athletes competing in women's sports. And there's even an LGBTQ organization called Gays for Trump. And why wouldn't there be? Gays love drag queens.
Bill Maher is on a scorching rampage once again, tearing into the Democrats for their relentless obsession with identity politics, a ticking time bomb that could blow up their chances in the 2028 elections. A blistering episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the Unfiltered comedian, launched a no-holds-barred assault on the decade-long circus of virtue signaling, wrapping it all in sharp humor and brutal common sense. If explosive takedowns like this light your fire, hit that subscribe button, because you won't want to miss the next epic meltdown.
Who give a shit who wins the next election? And outdated racial pandering is one reason Democrats lose elections. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi put on kente cloth, I don't think it earned them one vote for their powerful emotional ties to Ghana. Here in California, we're now segregating kidnapping. Really, California doesn't just have Amber Alerts for missing children. We have Ebony Alerts for black children and Feather Alerts for Native American kids. What is that? We look for them by listening on the ground?
Now, this is hilarious, but also deeply disturbing. Bill Maher, with that trademark smirk and razor-sharp wit, dropped a question that left the room absolutely stunned. So, I'd really like to know, what's the code name for missing Caribbean-American children? Or Asian-American children? The silence that followed was deafening. Once again, the left's obsession with identity politics had crossed into absurd territory, this time racializing child abductions. Why on earth are we segregating missing children by ethnicity? Maher didn't just question it. He dismantled it, piece by piece, with the kind of sharp, irreverent commentary that spares no sacred cow. He wasn't just making the audience laugh. He was exposing the lunacy beneath the slogans, turning chuckles into gasps. And just when you think he's done, Maher tees up his next punchline, a brutal truth bomb about the DNC's latest diversity stunt. One that could leave their entire platform in smoldering ruin.
Even if you like identity politics, this kind of thing is antiquated. From 2010 to 2020, the number of people identifying as multiracial in America went up 276%. 1 in 5 newlyweds now are in an interracial marriage, and that number goes up to 100% in ads for Subaru. You couldn't do a remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner today because almost 100% of Americans approve of interracial marriage, especially with rich in-laws. And 95% of white women would leave their husband to marry Idris Elba.
This segment is pure fire. Maher doesn't just criticize identity politics, he eviscerates it. With surgical sarcasm, he exposes the DNC's favorite playbook for what it truly is, a hollow, desperate scramble to divide and distract. And just when you think it can't get any more absurd, Maher drops a stat that'll leave your jaw on the floor. If racial identities in America have skyrocketed by a staggering 276% in just the last year, then the left isn't building a coalition. They're building confusion. But Maher's just getting warmed up. His next truth bomb left the DNC scrambling for cover.
Idris Elba, who says, as humans, we are obsessed with race, and that obsession can really hinder people's aspirations. Actress Raven-Symoné agrees. She told Oprah, I'm tired of being labeled. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. She says, I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. My roots are in Louisiana. And you don't have to agree with that. But it's a point of view a lot of people have. It should be respected. Morgan Freeman says the way to finish off racism is stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. There's even a movement now to ban racial questions on the census, and many of its leaders are people of color, like Professor Sheena Mason, who says to undo racism, we have to undo our belief in race.
Maher warns that clinging to this fractured narrative won't unite us. It'll bury us under a mountain of meaningless labels. America used to be a melting pot, blending backgrounds into one shared identity. Now, it feels more like a patchwork quilt, stitched together by activists armed with a label maker. The audience leaned in. Maher was hitting a nerve, and they knew it. The anticipation was electric, and just as the room quieted, he delivered his next blow, a savage breakdown of how the DNC's obsession with race might be the very thing that tears them apart in 2028.
The liberal group MoveOn.org, formed in 1998 to urge Republicans to move on from the Clinton impeachment. Today's Democrats should move on from identity politics. It's not working. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far-left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore. Who has the #1 country song right now? Beyoncé.
Records now show a quiet political earthquake shaking the Democratic stronghold. Black voters are leaving the party. In 2020, Donald Trump earned 12% of the black vote. In 2024, that number surged to 22%, according to a USA Today Suffolk University poll. That's nearly double in just 4 years, an exodus the media won't touch. Why? Because places that once bled blue are turning red, not out of love for Republicans, but out of frustration with identity politics that have morphed into something toxic. What started as inclusion has turned into division, breeding resentment, bitterness, and burnout. Maher taps into something deeper here. You can care about equality and still feel drained by the culture war. Americans are exhausted, not with diversity, but with the relentless weaponization of it. They want unity built on shared values, not skin color. And just when you think Maher's done, he teases what's coming next. A scathing takedown that could leave the DNC gasping for air.
The biggest new star in country is Jelly Roll, who was a drug dealer, then a prisoner, then a rapper, and then a face-tatted country music star. Not to mention a giant middle finger to the idea of staying in your own lane. No. In America now, you're allowed to be many things all at once, and that's a good thing, even when it's really stupid. Look, we're all Jelly Roll now. We're sloppy, complicated, and contradictory. 2/3 of Republican voters support weed legalization. And 41% of Democrats own or live with someone who owns a gun. Miss Marvel is Pakistani, and the winner of the last 2 NBA dunk contests is white.
Why is Maher going scorched earth with these analogies? Because America isn't just changing, it's mutating. Identities are blending faster than TikTok trends. What once belonged to a single culture is now being remixed by everyone. While Democrats cling to a dead script, the GOP saw the chaos coming and pivoted. The Republican Party, once dogged by accusations of racism, has quietly transformed in ways the media rarely acknowledges. Today, conservative rallies are filled with people of every color, every creed, united not by race, but by shared values and deep exhaustion with being reduced to labels. And Maher's not done yet. Just when you think he's landed his hardest punch, he sets up the next strike. A brutal truth about what happens when a party clings to the past while the people have already moved on.
The point is, look, you're still building your politics around slicing and dicing people into these fixed categories. Democrats need to get the memo that you can't win elections anymore by automatically assuming you're going to get every voter who's not these guys. The more you obsess over identity, the more you ignore the bread and butter issues that win and lose elections.
And this right here, is what I've been preaching for years. Strip away the noise, the media spin, the political theater, and what you find. The heartbeat of America still beats strongest for the basics. A sound economy, safe neighborhoods, good schools, solid jobs, and an atmosphere where anyone, regardless of race, can build a better life. That's what truly matters. That's what real people care about. Race and identity politics. They're not priorities. They're distractions. Loud, divisive, exhausting. Most Americans aren't waking up wondering how many diversity boxes they check. They're wondering how to pay rent, how to afford groceries, and how to keep their kids safe and educated. And as Maher points out with cutting clarity, the longer politicians ignore that truth, the more voters will walk away, tired of being spoken at instead of actually heard.
The real issue is class, not race, and the real gap is the diploma divide, and the real future of the party and maybe democracy depends on Democrats figuring that out.
Bill's final nail in the coffin is a masterstroke, calm, clear, and cutting. It perfectly encapsulates everything he'd been building toward all night. Instead of obsessing over identity politics, Maher argues, Democrats should be laser-focused on the real, tangible issues affecting everyday Americans. Chief among them, the ever-widening chasm between the wealthy elite and the average working citizen. That divide isn't just economic. It's emotional, cultural, and deeply personal for millions who feel left behind, unheard, and unseen. If the Democratic Party wants to reclaim its identity as the party of the people, Maher says, it must get back to the basics, fighting for fair wages, affordable housing, and real upward mobility. He also shines a light on the crumbling education system, where more and more graduates are being churned out without the skills to compete in the real world. That's not just a policy failure, it's a moral one.
Here is the dilemma for Democrats. Their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor our martyrs" at Yale. They're looking for love in all the wrong countries. At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is.
It's a fair question, maybe even the only one that matters at this point. Because unless Democratic leadership steps back, reassesses its trajectory, and seriously rethinks how it's engaging with the American people, the future doesn't look promising. They need more than a rebrand. They need a full strategic overhaul. That means abandoning the echo chambers of elite Twitter bubbles and getting back in touch with the working-class voters who once formed the backbone of their party. It means prioritizing kitchen table issues, wages, jobs, healthcare, education, over ideological theatrics. If the DNC keeps doubling down on divisive identity narratives while ignoring the everyday concerns of millions, they won't just lose elections. They'll lose their relevance. Voters are changing. America is changing. The only question is, will the DNC change with it or get left behind?
Really bad news for Democrats. 2030 reapportionment, there's a group called the American Redistricting Project, and in 5 years we will be redistricting. California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2, also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over.
The Democratic National Committee isn't just facing a crisis. It's marching itself toward extinction. And the worst part, they're leading the charge. While redistricting battles certainly threaten their electoral map, the real danger isn't external, it's internal. What's quietly tearing the party apart isn't Republican opposition. It's the festering toxicity within its own rank and file. There's a growing disconnect between grassroots Democrats and the party's elite leadership. Infighting, ideological purity tests, and an obsession with identity over unity have turned what used to be a big tent into a political minefield, where one wrong word can get you canceled. That's not just unsustainable, it's self-destructive. More and more voters, especially moderates and working-class Americans, are feeling alienated. The party that once prided itself on inclusivity is now drowning in division. If the DNC doesn't course correct soon, they won't just lose elections. They'll lose the country. Bill Maher's takedown of identity politics isn't just comedy. It's a wake-up call. Americans are tired of division. They're desperate for leadership that prioritizes unity, opportunity, and real solutions. If the Democratic Party refuses to evolve, it risks becoming irrelevant. Voters want jobs, security, and dignity, not labels. The message is clear. Abandon the politics of division or brace for a political reckoning that's already knocking at the door. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this narration, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more unfiltered commentary. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.